Okay. Okay, everyone. So welcome this afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We have Yvette Ayala Bernstein, that's our high school social worker, who's going to tell us, discuss some points and give us some pointers about stress and mental health, or stress or mental health, or both. She has a great agenda here for us. So we are looking forward to you taking this and start.
So welcome. Thank you for coming. I know it's a busy time and talking about stress and trying to juggle school with soccer. I know this is tough. So this is one of the topics I think the young coaches wanted to bring to you guys to sort of know how to manage stressors when it comes to whether that's middle school or high school, how you juggle school along with peer relationships and having all these activities. So in the second slide, I'm just going to talk about what stress means, and sort of the stress is defined as a state of worrying or mental tension caused by difficult situation. Stress, that's either a human response or prompts us to address challenges and threats in our lives, right? And we experience it in different degrees, right? Depending on our lifestyle. So for example, come around midterm or any big examinations, you may have more heightened stress along with having to meet demands at home or demands at school, right? So, you know, the way we respond to it makes a big difference on our overall well-being and how we function every day. Can I get the third slide? Okay, so how do you know whether this is you know, everyday normal reaction to stress or pressures, or how do you know when it becomes unhealthy and it upsets your everyday functioning, as I mentioned? I think that when we experience stress, it affects our body, and some of us will sort of complain about stomach aches, right? Because it affects us physically, right? And how we feel, we may become irritable or sleepless, right? So those are some of the physical challenges that you will experience with stress. It can cause, you know, a lot of psychological also stressors in that how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about our well-being, right? And so stress is not necessarily mental illness, but ignoring stress can lead to mental health conditions, right? And physical health conditions, whether that be, again, the headaches, the migraines, the having, you know, stomach aches and sort of gastritis, right? It's sort of physical symptoms, but also because stress can also cause us to feel a certain way about yourself, how you feel, talking to yourself negatively about how you're experiencing that stress, right? And sometimes we take on a little bit too much, right? And knowing how to manage that. And can lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms that sometimes we see in the middle school, more in the high school, but now lately we have also been seeing that also in the middle school. As I mentioned, you know, stress, it is a normal response to reaction to everyday pressures. But how do we, I'm sorry, I'm adding in the other slide. There you go. How we respond to external causes, sort of taking a test, right? You know that the difference between stress and mental health is that something that happens outside of what's, you know, our everyday life. So taking an exam, for example, trying to meet a deadline, those are stressors that once you meet them, they're resolved. You don't experience them anymore, right? But when you have too many of those going on, that's when it could lead to these physical and mental health issues. But also how you talk to yourself about these situations. For example, if you have to do a presentation, how do you talk to yourself to present? Are you doing a dialogue about how you're doing in that presentation and speaking negatively about yourself? You know, I think those are the difference between how you experience anxiety at that point. And that stress then can lead to anxiety. So it involves that worrying, the feeling of apprehension, of dread, and that something is going to happen and you can't cope with the situation, the event, and it interferes with your daily life. So when it comes to where you can do that presentation, where you freeze and you're unable to do that presentation, where you're unable to go to school every day and get up in the morning. So that at that point, that stressor is then affecting your mental health. And so these are some of the listing of the stuff that I guess you guys may experience at school. You know, again, the demands of school, showing up on time, doing homework for 7 classes, and that goes for the same from middle school to the high school. How do you juggle and use a planner? Because we had talked, I think in previous presentations, about how do you plan out or how do you organize yourself to meet the demands of school, right? And so doing a little bit of planning so that you don't have those stressors, right? Sometimes when we transition into middle school, from 5th to 6th grade, and even going into 9th grade, we have problems with friend groups, or we have different interests and we have fallout of friend groups. Sometimes there's also the time where we develop friendships and relationships, right? And likes and dislikes. And sometimes some of those peer relations can also cause stressors. And for some people at home, what are some stresses financially coming when we're talking about the pandemic? What financial stresses are your family going through? If you become a single parent household, those are all stresses that can affect a child in conjunction with school demands. And how you feel about yourself is also another stressor. About how you look physically, about your changes that are happening hormonally for yourself, going into middle school and high school. You know, and again, where you live, separation, divorce, chronic illness, death of a loved one, moving or changing schools, for example, the transition, or even being the new kid in the school. And also taking on too many activities. So for example, we feel that we have to do all the club activities along with sports activities in top of our 7 classes, because we think that that would look good to apply for, you know, colleges. And some people, you know, everyone talks about colleges, but some kids do not want to go to college. Sometimes they want to do a trade school. Sometimes they're unsure, and that's okay to not know what you want after high school. But all that can impact. Those are just stresses that all of you guys may experience throughout middle school, all the way up to your senior year of high school. Next slide, please. Some of us, as I mentioned before, this is just a list of how your body may experience these stressors. So headaches, the stomach aches, the aches and pains, you know, sort of, you know, complaining of any physical ailments are part of a sign of stress. One big thing is the sleeping issues. Either it can be that you have trouble sleeping, going to sleep, having some insomnia, or also oversleeping. And some kids tend to, because they get stressed, not want to do any activities, right? So the avoidance of activities. You see the decline of grades or attendance, meaning the stress becomes so overwhelming that it's difficult to get up in the morning, or it's difficult to finish the day and have to leave early from school, right? It can happen either or. And I've seen that in both cases, along with after the pandemic, students experiencing anxiety about coming back to school. I still have students having those issues also, being acclimated in a socially having problems to acclimating to that. So some of the ways that they may show up is, you know, you notice you're more irritable, you get agitated, you get angry or anxious about certain situations, or you worry about a certain situation. And overthinking it a lot, right? That it becomes, it overtakes sort of your thinking pattern, everyday thinking pattern. Cognitively, I guess, because you experience this stress, when you're in front of a teacher, you're unable to listen to the lesson or take in the information. You may forget things and become careless. For example, the teacher told you today that there's a test tomorrow, and although you heard it, because you're overwhelmed and stressed, you thought it was for next week versus tomorrow, although the teacher, you know, went over the information. So those are some of the stress, the way that stresses can come up, right? And so just want you to recognize what that looks like for you. Because we all experience stress in our life in different points of our life because of different experiences or life changes that happens. And along with school, it's important to do stress management, help manage your feelings. That can lead to better growth, and better health, and improves your relationship. Once you understand what's stressing you, then you could create strategies to address it in a healthy way, right? And so we want to learn about better coping skills. So 4 areas, I guess, that I think to target is the problem solving, maintaining healthy bodies, managing emotion, and giving back. What problem solving, if you go to the next slide, problem solving is more so thinking about what is the one area that's stressing you, targeting that problem, identifying what's the stress, right? And how can I break it down into steps, right? So if you have a big paper or a big presentation that you're really worried about, how do I, instead of being overwhelmed with it, how do I break it down into steps to make it manageable? So if it's due in 2 weeks, what I can do, maybe the research of one part of that presentation or that exam, right? And just study that part and set deadlines to organize yourself for, to sort of manage what that problem is. And I'm giving school examples because I figure that's the biggest stressor at school, but you can apply that in different parts of your life where you can list the problem and try to work out how can I tackle that problem, right? Making lists and timelines, and again, using planners, right? Second is avoiding the stress that what stresses you out, whatever possible. So for example, we have different groups of friends, right? We have friends that are our soccer friends, right? And then we have friends at school, and then we have, just friends we've known since our childhood, right? And some people, we have to try to avoid in certain situations. So for example, not that they don't no longer become your friends, but maybe if it's a one friend that you like gaming with, right? And you have a test tomorrow. Maybe you avoid that person that night because you have a test tomorrow. And so that's what I mean by avoiding certain stressors that then lead into this habit where then it becomes overwhelming to tackle certain things at school, right? Using social media is another example with your friends, right? You using social media, and you can get engrossed and forget that you have homework to do and meeting deadlines. So that's sort of some of the ways that you can do to sort of manage and the stressor. And so with that saying, you conserve a lot of energy, you're devoting the things that you need to worry about, and you can't change. So what I mean by that is conserving energy is focus on the problem that you can fix, that you have control over, versus what you don't have control over, right? You don't have control over of when the teacher gives a test, but you do have control over how you plan out for that exam. And the next slide is maintaining healthy bodies. So a lot of you, when talking about social media, one of the things that a lot of the students don't do is they go to bed late. So they don't have a good sleeping hygiene. They tend to go to bed late and have to wake up early. And so the anger, irritability, and the stressors are compounded because your body's not resting, your mind's not resting. So it's going to be very important to have sleep well. Exercising, I think for some people who experience stress or anxiety, letting out that energy in a positive way helps with mental health, and helps also with just how to reduce the stressor or the physical changes that occur when you have stressors. Eating well. I think when you skip meals, I think you notice a difference. You have low energy, or again, also become more irritable. So eating well, relaxing, and taking time for yourself, but at the same time planning for your activities. So it's some of the things that I think that I've worked with kids at the high school and even at the middle school can be done with your guidance counselor or your clinical staff, support staff that's at the high school, is that we talked about what do you use to relax? And I tell kids, you have to try different things because what works for one person may not work for the other. Some people like listening to the music, watching something visual, doing the breathing exercising, and just finding different ways to relax, right? Taking breaks from the stress. You know, if you know you have a big test, you can't go on a marathon of studying 10 hours, and trying to do everything the night before, making sure you take that time for yourself also. And I just added this because there's been a lot of studies about giving back. And when the Young Coaches Program, I think one of the tenets of the program is about giving back and volunteering a lot of the time that you do with the kids, with the little ones. So you have the middle schoolers helping out with the rec league, and then you have the high schoolers helping out with the middle schoolers, whether that be for tutoring or giving back, you know, especially with the pandemic, helping others and seeing what others, other stresses other people are going through, and seeing that you can be helpful is also showing gratitude and appreciating what you have. Because sometimes we tend to not look at that, and keeping journals about what we're grateful for, the little things that we are grateful for, and volunteering is sort of that way of improving that aspect for yourself. And then I added here, again, the different ways of relaxation and the breathing exercises, listening to music. Some kids like going for walks, doing runs, the painting, the journaling, and the meditation. I just put in here, let's see, one of these videos about the breathing, because when we talk about breathing, people don't know usually how do I breathe, and there's different breathing techniques. And I just put 3 sort of YouTube videos, and you can go back to one of them, maybe click one of them. It just in YouTube, and you could kind of see what works for you and what doesn't work for you when it comes to the breathing exercises.
Oh, wait, I'm trying, but
You could do the last one if you want, the box breathing. If you
the
let's
link
see.
is not
Oh, it's not there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Well,
maybe if I probably can Google it. Is it okay if I do that?
sure.
Hold on. The last one you said?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Sorry, wait, let me just minimize it. I'm trying to find my tabs. Does this look familiar?
I'm not seeing the.
Oh, okay, wait, I might have to share that. Share something.
Yeah.
There you
You're
go.
gonna hold it for 5 breaths. You're gonna breathe
Can
out
everybody
for
see
5
that?
breaths, and you're gonna hold it for 5 breaths. And then you repeat the whole cycle.
Can anybody see that?
So again, it's very simple. It's like a
Yes.
box.
Yep.
In,
All right, wait, hold on.
hold,
I have to, because I keep
out,
interrupting the guy.
forward.
I started to the beginning. All right, go for it.
Hi guys, it's Ian Ramsey, and I'm back with more brain tips for teens. Today's scene is set in Glacier Bay in Alaska, where I've got students here on a student trip, and I couldn't think of a better place to talk about things to kind of help everyone with their brain and their physiology. So today I'm going to talk about box breathing. And box breathing is a very simple breathing technique anyone can do. And by doing this for a minute, 2 minutes, you can very quickly downregulate your nervous system, relax, focus, and just get into a better state of mind and a better state of being. So the essence of box breathing is this. You're going to breathe in for 5 breaths. You're going to hold it for 5 breaths. You're going to breathe out for 5 breaths, and you're going to hold it for 5 breaths. And then you repeat the whole cycle. Okay.
So wait a second, guys, let's all try to do this.
Yes.
We do have time. So how about we do this now?
So again, it's very simple. It's like a box. In, hold, out, hold. You just keep doing that. And by doing that, it just brings everything down and makes you, it gets you to a better state. So let's try that right now. Just one quick round through, and then we'll get you on your way. So here we go. Let's breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. And hold. So you do that, you cycle through that a few times, and I think you'll find you're in a much better state. And you don't have to do it for 5 seconds. You could do it for 3 seconds. You can do it for 4 seconds. You can do it for 10 seconds. Doesn't really matter. The important thing is that you're kind of maintaining that you're controlling your breath as it goes out. and that'll help you a lot. So go out there and crush it. Thanks a lot. Hi guys, it's Ian Ramsey,
So-
and I'm back.
So wait a second, did you guys do it?
Yeah,
I let's see if I see the presentation again. Oh,
Okay, there you go. Do you want me to do another one?
sure, the second link is also good. Let's see, do I see the presentation?
Okay, I mean, I have to find my Google tab again. It might have been the first one, right?
Yeah, that's, yep. Mhm.
Okay. All
This
right,
$100
I have to share
high-tech
this.
drone created by
There
two
we go.
American
So
engineers.
we show the,
I'm already sharing it, right?
This is a
There we go.
Hey everyone, my name is CJ412 and I have Jumpin' Jamie Joe with me today. And we are a part of the Strong for Life Challenge team.
Today, we're going to be doing exercise to calm the body and mind by slowing down and focusing on deep breathing exercises.
This is a chance to reset and calm the body and mind at any point in the day. So go ahead, get into a comfortable position. You can either close your eyes or keep them open, whichever one feels more comfortable. Place your hand on your stomach so that you can feel your hand moving up and down with each breath. I want you to inhale slowly through your nose and fill your stomach with air. Hold the breath for a few seconds. And now exhale through your mouth. Great job, everyone. As we take another deep breath, pay attention to your body. If you feel any tightness or stress, imagine releasing it from your body with each exhale. So if you have your eyes closed and you want to open them, go ahead. But if you want to keep them closed, it's all up to you. Inhale through your nose, hold for a few seconds, then exhale through your mouth. Wonderful job. Letting go of any tension or tightness in your body. Take another deep breath in through your nose, hold for a few seconds, and then exhale through your mouth. Letting go of any worry or stress. Let's take a few more slow, deep breaths in through your nose and out through the mouth. Paying attention to how your body feels with each exhale. Let your muscles relax. Wonderful job, everyone. Pay attention to how your body feels. With each exhale, let your muscles relax. You can practice deep breathing at any time whenever you need to relax your body or your mind. For example, before taking a test or a presentation, before a game or a performance, before bed, or just whenever you want to slow down and be calm. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
So I have put those videos like hyperlinks because I think there's two different techniques with the breathing, right? You have those that just breathe in and let it out slowly. And some people they do that a couple of times, and the box breathing may help for someone that's hyperventilating or is actually having a panic attack. So and so it works differently for different people. Some people is listening to music, walking, pacing, sometimes shaking it out. I tell the kids when they come to my office, they have to try different methods, and what they feel comfortable with, they can try out. And you could do this even before a test, or even just getting up in the morning, sort of having that meditative. Some people say prayers, some people again do the breathing exercises and just relaxing so that they can focus on their day, right? And some people wake up a couple of minutes earlier, just doing something, reading or relaxing that they enjoy so that they can have a good day. And sort of doing these self-care things for yourself if you know that you're experiencing a stressful time, and it goes up and down during the school year. We know this because it's the beginning of the year is stressful, just knowing that there's something new happening, new friends, new classes, or just knowing that it's going to be a tough year for whatever reason academically. And so depending on what that is, usually the beginning of the school year is very stressful. Then we get back into a groove, and then the holidays come around, and sometimes that becomes stressful with having midterms right before the holidays. So it goes up and down. So just paying attention to how your body feels, and then making sure that you make these attempts to stress management and coping skills. And you're not going to always know how to do that. And that's why I think, you have different mentors or adults in your life that can help you with different techniques or different areas, right? Maybe you have someone where in school you feel comfortable talking about the school stuff, but maybe at home you feel comfortable talking to your parents about issues with your friends, or Then you have your soccer mentor where, I don't know, maybe that's where you let it out physically, whatever stressors you're having, right? But just making sure that you come up with a stress managing techniques and coping skills when you're feeling overwhelmed. But how do I know when to get help? Pretty much is it's sort of a difficult question, right? To ask, how do I know? I think really if you notice for yourself that it's becoming overwhelming, where you're experiencing stressors to the point where you're not able to function the day and throughout the day, where you have to take a lot of breaks, where you know, you're having a difficult time coming to school. And I ask kids, sometimes some kids experience where they cry or they have anxiety. They actually experience anxiety and they don't even know what that is, what anxiety is, but they have trouble with their breathing. They're having trouble with muscle tension. And so talking to the people in your life to get help, right? If you can't cope. And sometimes I have students that I've met with, whether that's in the middle school and the high school, because they don't know what's happening to them when it comes to stressors and what's happening to their bodies. Sometimes they're faced with choices, right, from other friends of how they cope with stressors, right? And sometimes there's some, you know, some negative, right? So some kids, you know, we talk about vaping that occurs in the middle school and the high school, right? Where some kids have used that as a stress reliever, right? And so knowing that you can be exposed to that and knowing how to cope in a healthy way, I think is the most important thing. And also sometimes some of these stresses can lead to negative thoughts about ourselves, wanting to hurt ourselves and thoughts of suicide, because it gets so overwhelming and we feel like we're never going to get out of that situation of whatever's happening at that moment for us. And that's when I think you need to go get help, right? A trusted adult, parents, and friends. So one of the things, if for any parents that are on this Zoom meeting, I think for us as parents is to monitor our kids, right? Are they sleeping well? Are their behaviors changing? Are their attitudes changing? Are they isolating themselves more? And if you feel that they're becoming overwhelmed, sort of paying attention to that, doing a check-in with them, because I think sometimes some kids don't have the words, right, to express the emotion that they're feeling, or they don't know what that is. Maybe it's a new experience for them. Some of us have a family history of this stuff, but we don't have the words to say them. And I think giving them that space and knowing that you're there for them. They may not talk to you at that point. Sometimes that happens. But you always knowing that let them know that you're there. And make sure that you listen to them and watch when they're overloading. And I think for ourselves is modeling that behavior for our kids. You know, because I'm going to be honest, as a parent myself, we all experience stress, and how we handle that. Then your children learn from that behavior of how you react to certain stresses in your life, right? Being involved in extracurricular activities, any interest you have, it doesn't have to be sports, but sports is good. But whatever those activities, club activities at school, gives you sort of a channel or somewhere else where you can relax and let out and have different interests, and then explore community services. And I think at the end, I'm going to let the other providers sort of talk about different community resources that are out there to help them manage the stress and cope with, and stop coping with stress negatively. I think in the next slide, every school, not everybody attends a New Rochelle school district, but the majority of the young coaches do. Every school has support staff, and it looks different in different school districts, right? In the New Rochelle school district, we're very lucky. We have a psychologist and a social worker attached to every school, from elementary school all the way up to high school. So it's not just the high school. We have social worker and psychologists in every school. And in the city hall main district also. So that's one point person. Another is all schools have at least one guidance counselor. So the elementary school wouldn't have as many guidance counselor. They may have one or a shared person, but there is a guidance counselor. So that's another person besides a trusted adult teacher. And some school districts, they may not have a clinical social worker or psychologist or mental health clinician, but they may have an outside agency providing support services. So, and I see this a lot in the city, and there are, I think the Yonkers School District in Mount Vernon may do this, where they have a school-based support team. They're not part of the school district, but they contract with an outside agency to provide the services within the school system. So making sure that you as a parent know who these people are, and then you young coaches, I would say, just make sure that you know who to ask and who to look for in your school building. And then I just put in a couple of apps here. I did put the YouTube, but some kids like doing the apps through their phones. So I had mentioned some activities that you can do before when you wake up in the morning or even at night to go to sleep. Some kids have trouble going to sleep because their days are so busy, and sometimes it's difficult to shut off your mind about all the things that are going on the next day and all the things that happened today. And it could be just an exciting thing. Like it could be like a great thing happened today. Like, you had an A or you had a great presentation, but it's still difficult sometimes to shut off your mind. And sometimes this is good to do some of these things before going to bed. Keeping a routine is important, like a routine of when you wake up and when you go to sleep. When you fluctuate a lot that time, then it throws off the sleep hygiene piece and sort of taking care of your body. And I listed here all the resources that we use here in Westchester County, or that I use here at New Rochelle High School. We would refer over students over to Four Winds, St. Vincent's Crisis Prevention Response Team. And those are the two that would either come out, and we do have mobile crisis unit that we would have to refer if we feel that the stress or the stressor then becomes more of the anxiety and depression, and there's a risk of self-harm or thoughts of self-harm, right? And then we need to conduct an assessment to make sure the person is safe, home is safe, and everything, that we provide supports after, even if, let's say, not something intensive is needed, but at least connected to community resources. And then these are outpatients, what we call outpatient services. So besides your school-based support team, these are just in the area where parents don't need to travel far to get the mental health services, whether that's short-term for 2-3 months, whether it's long-term. Again, based on insurance and what, these are some of the ones that we refer here in New Rochelle School District. FSW, which is in Pelham, Alsara, and the Guidance Center are right here in New Rochelle. And just to mention, the New Rochelle High School has a staff member that actually also provides mental health services, a clinician that's there 4 days a week now, Monday through Thursday, and she's there after school also. So sometimes when parents have issues, as I've had, parents as a single parent, and it's difficult to take them to appointments, this is a person I would refer so that they can have the in-house service within the school district. Actually, our high school itself. This is my contact number, but it's listed there. If you ever wanted to, if I'm not your person at the high school, I work at House 1, but in the middle school, we have clinical staff, and I'm in contact with them. If you were ever to need any referrals or resources, you can email me or contact me, and I can direct you to the correct person. If you're outside of the New Rochelle School District, I can also direct you to which point person to speak to in a school, or at the very least help you with providing referrals in the community.
Oh, wow. Eva, thank you so much for this. This is very informative and resourceful. We really, really appreciate it. And you putting this together very nicely and organized. Thank you again so much for this. I'm not sure, Tori, Lindsay, Lorena, which one of you want to go first, but yeah, we would love to hear from the three of you, obviously one at a time. You know, for additional resources that can help all of us, not only our young coaches, but us as parents as well. To either for ourselves or guide our kids, or our neighbor kids or what have you. So yeah, I'm not sure, Lori, do you want to go first or?
Thank you. Well, we're sort of all going to jump in
Okay.
and because we're going to present together. If
Okay.
I'll just do a quick intro of who we are, where we come from. If you wouldn't mind sharing the co-host so I can just share. I just have a couple of slides just to help folks.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
That'll be wonderful.
Okay, let me stop sharing this for a second.
Yeah, that's fine. And while we work on that, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Tori Shaw. I'm from Westchester County Department of Community Mental Health. So we're a part of Westchester County government. And our job is to make sure that everybody in Westchester County has access to mental health services that they need. And so I'm here with my colleagues, Lindsay Rivera, who oversees our community networks and does a lot of our community organizing and outreach. And with Lorena Rukai, who oversees our co-occurring disorders, awareness, outreach, and treatment initiatives. So we're sort of going to jump in together today. Yvette, I want to thank you because I don't have screen sharing yet.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought I just try now.
Sometimes
Do you have that? That's only the host. No, you should have now.
It says it's disabled. I'm not showing up as a host on the participants list either.
Oh, I wonder if because, I think because you're not.
Yvette, I do want to thank you because that was the absolute perfect, I think, segue. And it really builds on what we work on kind of countywide. Is first and foremost, we work closely with communities. We do a lot of work with school districts. And so we always want to say, start with, if you're concerned about yourself or a friend or your child, start with your school. They have a ton of resources and a ton of information, and they also know where to find us at Westchester County. And so they can help you get connected to us or get connected to other services. So it's a great first step. And so parents, kids, everyone should have someone at their school they feel like they can talk to. In the meantime, if we are unable to share it, it's okay. We can always send out some information afterwards.
I'm hoping that I can get you guys to share this. I clicked on the having all participants sharing, but I'm not sure why you're not able to.
Now, you might be able to, if you right click to assign me as a co-host, then I might be able to. Okay. But that's okay.
Let's try.
You can keep working on it. You can always just flag me.
If you want to email it to me really quick, and then I can share it, and then next time we can figure this out.
It's all right. We'll just chat because we only have a few minutes, so we'll just go over it, and we can always send out like the visuals after the fact. Okay.
Sounds good.
So what we always like to do is kind of give an overview about what we're talking about in terms of our whole system of care. Okay, as I said, the screaming child that was going to interrupt me, of course. It's really important first and foremost to know about all the pro-social supports that are in place for kids in school, in sports, all of the mental health and wellness activities that I've discussed. That's also really important. Lorraine, I'm going to ask you to take it from here, talk a little bit about outpatient and then CSPOA.
Lorena, I think you can share now if you want to give it a shot. Sorry about that.
No problem. So I definitely thank you, Tori. I want to talk a little bit and highlight some of the services that we provide and how we can support you guys through whatever it is that might be needed. So this is the continuum of the youth mental health services and supports. And so we community networks we provide throughout Westchester County and also in New Rochelle. There is natural and informal supports. So if there's any parents in this room or even teens that want to be able to connect with informal supports in their community, whether it's, linkage to pro-social activities that are happening in their community, whether that's events, whether that's like workshops for parents. We start off with the natural and informal supports through the community network meetings. And there is available community network meetings, again, throughout Westchester County, and that are running in person as well as virtually. And so for a lot of parents who might, be maybe wanting more resources for their children or for their youth, engaging in these community network meetings, whether virtually or in person, it's an excellent idea because, many community partners are participating. And this gives, families a chance to see, what are some available resources right at their door that they might have not been knowing or using up until that point. And so moving forward from that, we, for a kid that might be struggling and might have, maybe is engaging in pro-social activities, is doing, has sports after school and has a structure to his day, but is still experiencing anxiety, then we have, outpatient therapy supports. And that looks like, it could look like a community-based clinic, like some of the resources that Yvette shared, like the Guidance Center or FSW or other places in New Rochelle that might provide outpatient therapy. It could be private clinic, a private practice therapist. It could be even a school-based satellite. So within the schools, especially within the high school, maybe, a therapist that specializes and that can do outpatient therapy. If, we have a kid that is in outpatient therapy, or we have family members that are in outpatient therapy and they're still struggling, then we can look at our SPOA services. We call that's Children's Single Point of Access. We call that CSPOA. And this is basically anybody that can reach out to us for consultation and navigation around, any family member, any teen, any children, and ages 5 all the way up until
21,
21,
technically.
right?
So some
Where-
services for kids up to 18, some through 21. And we always like to say, the way that Lorena was describing, you sort of start with one thing, then you add on another support, right? And so at the single point of access, we try to be just that. So to know that if all else fails, you're not sure what to do, who to ask, call us. Call us at Westchester County Single Point of Access. We can help you navigate, figure out what services you might be eligible for, right? Figure out kind of what might be the next best step for you, your child, your family, and work with other people. If there is a therapist involved, if there's a coach involved, if the school is involved, we'll work all together, try to create a team to support. And much like Yvette, we like to have also some of our higher kind of crisis services reflected. So of course, inpatient hospitals when needed, residential treatment. So that's when kids are kind of sleeping away at treatment, and then practicing skills at home on the weekend and then sleeping away at treatment again. And that's usually, depending on what their needs are. And then of course, in a crisis, we want folks to have the contacts for our St. Vincent's Crisis Prevention Response Team. Dialing 988, that's the National Behavioral Health Crisis Line. So substance misuse or mental health crisis. This replaces the previous National Suicide Hotline. So 988 is your one-stop shop. The county also has mobile crisis response teams. New Rochelle has one. Every community in the county has an assigned mobile crisis response team, and they're deployed by the police. So if you called 988 or 911 and it was a true crisis for you or someone that you love, the police can send out a group of mental health professionals to intervene, come to their location, evaluate them, help them through that crisis, rather than sending law enforcement. Okay, so know that because you call 988 for help, they're not going to send police to your door, to your school, right? That if you're calling and asking for help, that there's a possibility that they can send mental health providers out to help through the crisis.
Wow.
Folks looking for services, right? Saying, well, how do I find out like what's near me? This is our QR code. It's to our directory of services for the county. So it's like Yelp, you can put it by your zip code, by the kind of service you need. And so that can be found on the Department of Community Mental Health's website and via this QR code. Okay, and we can have this sent out for sure. We talked a little bit about our children's single point of access. We have this little one pager for schools, for families. So if there are parents that would like a copy of this, please, we encourage you to reach out, let us know. We're happy to send along electronically. They really give an overview of what we do in the Children's Mental Health Services Division at the county.
Okay. Hey, Lori, do you think you can send that to us as well? And we probably can post it on our website. We have a resource tab on our website, a landing page, and we can probably post it there as well.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, it's a front back, so easy peasy.
Okay.
With all the
super.
important
And then
information.
we can even try to share it as well, just in case anybody comes to us for that too.
Yes, okay. And I also have here the contact information for the entire children's mental health team. I also want to give Lindsay Rivera an opportunity to add updates, talk a little bit about network or anything I missed. And to make sure that Lorena has an opportunity to discuss a little bit of the work we do with students, particularly high school students, but now expanding to middle school students soon around co-occurring disorders awareness, CODA clubs, SAD clubs, and things like that.
Okay, super. And then if you can share this one as well with us.
I will share the whole deck with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Lindsay, what did I forget?
No, I think you covered everything so well, and so did Lorena. Only to say that in regards to mental health and wellness, there isn't just mental health treatment. There's lots of other community supports and services, just like being involved in a sport, being involved in volunteer work. There's many nonprofit agencies and many different opportunities to get involved in your community. So if you are interested in anything, you could always reach out to us and we can connect you with any service providers in New Rochelle. There is a really great amount of services there and very invested in the community. And I'll pass it along to Lorena.
Hey, thank you so much, Lori. Thank you. If I can also have the ability to share the screen, Vanetta, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think everybody has the ability to share now, so you can go.
Okay, perfect. So, I'm not going to share much in terms of the screen. Maybe I'll put up the flyer, but I really want to take this opportunity to really speak to my teens here today, to all my teenagers, and sort of talk to them about some things that might be of, that might be going on or they might be concerned about. And so one of those things that I want to talk about, I can't see how many teams do we have in the room. But one of the things that I think it's important for me to talk about is substance use. That means stuff like smoking and drinking. And that's a real, sort of a sneaky troublemaker. That's what I like to call it. Because it, using substances at a young age can make us feel all sorts of mental health problems, or can make teens feel all sorts of mental health problems, even if they've never experienced them before. It can even make you lose IQ points, and for those that might be struggling already with mental health symptoms, it actually makes them worse. And it's super important. There is a super important connection between how we feel in our heads, which is our mental health, and the stuff we might use to cope with it, which is, different substances, whether that's marijuana or drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes. And so that connection between how we feel our mental health and what we use to cope with it. There is sometimes it can be substances, and we call that co-occurring disorders. And so co-occurring disorders is using substances. Thank you. Is using substances as well as having mental health challenges at the same time. And thank you, whoever is sharing that. And so I want to bring to awareness some of the work that we're doing. We call co-occurring disorders CODA for short. And CODA is actually a non-for-profit organization that is founded by Stephanie Marquesano, who lost her son Harris to an accidental drug overdose as a teen. And so Stephanie sort of turned this tragedy that happened to her family into a mission and to raise awareness about young teens who might be struggling with substance misuse issues as well as mental health issues. And to that extent, these are some of the statistics about, the work that's done with, to some of the statistics of teens that might be experiencing co-occurring disorders, but they're not getting any treatment for it. And so half of the teens that experience mental health issues or substance use issues or both are unfortunately suffering in silence, are struggling in silence. And so CODA, co-occurring disorder awareness, the organization wishes to bring awareness to this so that teens do not have to suffer alone, and that they can, know what their supports are, that they can reach out to their supports, and so that they can get better and do reach their life goals to whatever they are. CODA, as the co-occurring disorder awareness is an initiative that we are currently working not only to bring awareness throughout Westchester County, but we are working in schools. So there is youth-driven efforts. So it's teens like yourself who might want to be involved in participating in activities throughout high schools, including New Rochelle High School, about raising awareness and creating events and planning events such as our Youth CODA Summit, where students sort of join forces to talk about mental health and substance use and talk about how to cope with those symptoms and how to seek help. In this digital age, we also use social media campaign to get the message out to even more people, like shares, tweets, and retweets. And we're not stopping there. There are some folks that are doing some serious advocating at the state level, and they're talking to the big decision makers about to make sure that we are on the same page about preventing co-occurring disorders. And also for those that might be struggling with co-occurring disorders, we also have we also have evidence-based treatment, and part of my job is to make sure that those teens in the community that need support and need treatment and need outpatient therapy, that they get outpatient therapy in their community. And so we make that connection through Encompass. And I'm sorry, I'm not controlling the slides. So whoever is, if we can put it down to Encompass, then I'll talk a little bit about that as well. I know we're running out of time. Is it you, Yvette?
No, I'm not doing it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
All
All
right.
of Encompass. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to get involved in any of the CODA prevention work, you guys can, and you can reach out to myself, and we can do that work in within the high schools. Now we're doing that even with middle schools. And so you can, teens can prepare activities can prepare pro-social activities, can prepare events, can
Mhm.
engage in the youth summit that happens annually, to sort of bring awareness to this topic and help support other teens who might be struggling at this time. For those that require treatment, that are, maybe really experiencing serious symptoms of mental health issues and experiencing substance use symptoms at the same time, I would be happy to connect them to services. We do have outpatient therapy, and it includes ages from 12 to 29 years old. This is insurance covered, so the teens do not have to pay for the services. And this individual therapy meeting with one therapist once a week for maybe 18 weeks in a row, where we talk, or more if needed, where we talk about the co-occurring disorders, and we talk about how to deal with mental health challenges, mental health stressors, learn new coping mechanisms to manage everyday stressors, and learn ways to maybe reduce substance use and choose substance use goals that are chosen by the client, by the teens, and really working with whatever goals the teens might have for themselves. And so if there is anyone in the family, or if you know of anyone that you feel that needs the support, I'll be making my information available, and you can reach out to me for those supports. We also support family members and provide therapy to family members who might be struggling as well, because when someone in the family is not doing well, many times it affects the rest of the family, and then the family members as well might need therapy and support with that. I also want to touch briefly, I want to touch base on Inclure, which is a pro-social platform. Many teens, these are my information, I'll make that available to the group. Many teens, unfortunately at times, feel that they don't have enough activities, and they might not have, they might engage in maladaptive coping skills, or they might engage in substance use just because they are bored and they have, not enough to do, or maybe the things that they have that they might be available to them are of no interest to them. And so we have created a pro-social platform where teens can now go online and be able to see what pro-social activities are available in their community, including the NeuroShell community, and then choose to participate in those activities that are of interest to them. And so this pro-social platform also allows for those teens that maybe are interested in doing more than just showing up for activities. Maybe some teens want to plan activities for other teens. They want to be more involved in the planning process, in the development of the activities. They want to get maybe more like, community hours, or maybe want to engage more with other ambassadors. Through this platform, teens can also participate by becoming ambassadors, by engaging in planning and developing of pro-social activities for other teens as well. So I highly recommend that you guys scan your QR code and check this out. If you don't have to be an ambassador to participate, and you don't have to sign up for anything, you can just show up to one activity at a time. There is a calendar. When you scan the QR code, it will also bring you to a website where you can actually see the calendar for the whole month of October, and then you can choose activities that you might be of interest to you, or that might be happening in your community. Some of these activities are in person, and some of these activities are virtual. So yes, I'm going to stop here because I know, I want to be respectful of time, but please, feel free to ask any questions, and I will provide a lot of information to the organizers that can then share that information with you guys.
Thank you so much, Lorena. We really do appreciate it. We would love to hear more that you have to say. Maybe we can probably come up with something else at a later time and come back again. Have you revisit us. But in the meantime, any resources that you weren't able to share with us tonight that you think will be beneficial to us and our young coaches, please do email it to us, or connect with us somewhere. so that we can have that, so we can disperse it. Eva, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to add, I heard you mentioning a lot of the CODA programs. We do have a CODA club at the high school, along with student assistance services. We have an in-person staff, Ms. Pina Palmasano, who provides the individual group counseling. She also provides the group counseling for students who have family members that are actively using or in recovery. And like you mentioned, it affects family, and that creates a different type of stressor for that student. May not have mental illness, but may experience different type of stressors, and they participate in those type of groups that I can make. Any clinicians in the high school can make that referral to connect you to Pina Palmasano at the high school. They do have a Spanish speaking person at and Albert Leonard Middle School. She started that this year full time, and there's someone at the Isaac School already.
Okay.
And so they haven't been doing a lot of the substance abuse activity. They're doing more of the sort of activities as an ambassador, doing activities within the school and outside of the school. That's what they've been doing recently, but they've been addressing those issues of actively using or in recovery of family members. So that's an additional support. And she's been there for years. She's fantastic. She's right across
New
from me.
Rochelle High is the original CODA Club. As a matter
I
of
know,
fact.
yes, I
So
know.
Neuro is
Yes.
a very important player in our annual youth summit. They usually
Yes.
co-present at the youth
Yep.
summit.
Yes,
So
yes.
anyone here who is a New Rochelle School District
Yeah.
student, know that you have a long history of involvement in this work. And
Yeah.
it's really important work because it's prevention, right? It
Yes.
helps us really just to keep our minds and bodies healthy. So.
Okay.
And know that when you talk to one of the staff members at the high school, there's some guidelines, you have confidentiality, especially if you want to get help for any of these areas. We would assist in that piece of it, and along with just making sure you're not in harm's way. Confidentiality is kept, and we can make the necessary referrals that we need to, whether that's for SPOAF or, any of the substance abuse programs. I've done it several times. But we have a lot of support at New Rochelle High School.
That's very important, because a lot of times too, if a family or a kid is dealing with something, sometimes they have that concern that it's not confidential. So thank you for that additional piece. So we do appreciate all of you ladies here tonight, Yvette, Lindsay, Tori, Lorena. We are a little bit over the hour. I know it's a school night for young coaches as well, as much as I would love to hear, and I'm sure they would love to hear more. We do have to wrap it up, and we want to say thank you so very much. We appreciate you having taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight. I'm going to ask DJ if he has anything he wants to add before.
No, I'm good. Thank you so much. It was informative, and we learned a lot. So much. I appreciate the information and everything. Thanks everybody who shared, and our young coaches we're thankful, and the parents as well. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
And I know everybody walked away with quite a bit, and we're going to share all these slides with you all as well for reference. And then, of course, as everybody expressed, if you have questions, concerns beyond this Zoom call, we can definitely, you can definitely get in touch with any one of us, and we can facilitate you to the right person. Back to Lorena, Yvette, Lindsay, Tori, and what have you. So please do use all these resources to your advantage. Have a good night, everyone, and thank you again so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you here tonight.